You have received a call from the future. The year is 52,022, and your future self is on the line. How exciting is that? You are getting a first-hand look at the unknown. But guess what? You don't understand one thought because the language has changed completely, and not a single word from today has survived. Bummer. But no worries if you are in for surprises, because unfortunately or fortunately, the future is not only incomprehensible, but also unwritten. All we have are wild guesses and a whole bunch of them. However, if you want to know what our most prominent scientists think will happen on Earth in 50,000 years, watch the video to the end. You'll be stunned by our wildest guesses, from ice-covered New York City, dead Niagara Falls, and supervolcanoes taking over the Earth, to new species of humans and completely different civilizations. Before we get into it, don't forget to like, subscribe, or comment on our channel. That will take you much further and far beyond. Everything in the universe is in motion, changing and constantly interfering with everything else. This means that we don't exactly know what the future will look like. No one knows. There are too many variables and too many possible outcomes. In truth, there are an infinite number of them. And quantum theory says that every cell out there has some kind of intelligence. Remember the atom that changes from a particle to a wave depending on who is watching? Yes, that's why predictions don't work. Who knows what will have what effect? All we know is that the Earth is subject to a variety of impacts and collisions that multiply as we move forward. And the Earth rotates through various unknown parts of the Milky Way, which also rotates and encounters other galaxies and space objects. So, let us start with the most likely scenarios, even though probability in the universe is as indeterminate as time. You are having a conversation with your future self, and somehow you can decipher the language. The first thing you probably ask is, what's it like there? Well, it's cold. We are living in the Ice Age, and we have not reached the peak yet. But I don't want to know what it's going to be like, because the ice sheets have just reached New York City, and people are moving in a panic to Mexico, which is now ZX253TH. That's a disaster, because ZX253TH is already overpopulated, and there's not enough room for everybody. This is a very likely scenario because currently we are privileged by an interglacial period, which normally lasts 10,000 years, while the Ice Ages historically lasted 100,000 years. So the peak of the next Ice Age will be around the year 80,000. How do you manage? You ask anxiously. The government has a housing program and we live in 2,000-story skyscrapers. Wow, that's 8,850 meters, 1 meter higher than Mount Everest. Hypothetically, a building could get almost 59,000 meters tall without outweighing Mount Everest, or crushing the Earth below. That's 13,333 stories. Just for comparison, the tallest skyscraper today is the Burj Khalifa with 500 stories. It's entirely possible that people will live in the air in the future. How do you get around? You naturally ask. Do you have super elevators or do you fly to your floor in a car? What if the power goes out? That can always happen, even in a technologically advanced future. Now the question is whether it is technologically advanced, because they could be taken over by AI, which is another very likely prediction. Just recently, in 2018, 2 AIs defeated 2 men in a Stanford reading comprehension test. The task was to search Wikipedia for a range of information, such as the Apollo space program and the life of Genghis Khan, and then answer questions about those topics. Artificial intelligence was much more accurate in its answers than humans. It is a groundbreaking victory that, in the blink of an eye, changed the perception of human possibilities. Nevertheless, how do we get from the second floor to the 13,000th? You impatiently want to know. Well, this is quite simple. I can answer this one. Since quantum scientists have succeeded in teleporting photons and electrons across hundreds of kilometers at speeds faster than light, it's only a matter of time before they figure out how to do the same with bodies without destroying them in the process. Teleportation is no longer a matter of science fiction because quantum theory has found that every particle in nature also behaves like a wave, allowing information to be transmitted to a location of your choosing. Wow, that means I could be teleported to a distant place in the universe and watch the stars from the front row. Yes, but how would you breathe there? And you'd freeze to death. Your future self brings you back down to Earth. You know, it's not as amazing as it sounds to you in the 21st century. Yes, we use teleportation every day. but everything is frozen and looks the same, so it's not much fun when you think about it. Okay, tell me what else happens in the future. The North Star is in the same place it was in your time. Our night sky is not much different than in years past, except for the bigger traffic, the alien sky races, and the hologram festivals that have boomed in the last 500 years. Who needs a TV these days? You still have a TV? You want to leave that question open. It's a matter of psychology and privacy. In the meantime, let me explain why the stars are in the same place they are today. You may have heard of the phenomenon of precession, which causes the Earth's axis to point to different parts of the sky in a 26,000-year cycle. Precession is a form of motion that occurs when torque is applied to a rotating body, so that it tends to change the direction of its axis of rotation. It was the third discovered motion of the Earth, after the spinning and the annual revolution. At the moment, our North Star is Polaris. In 13,000 years, the North Pole will point to Vega, which will then be the new North Star. In 50,000 years, when the Earth has completed 2 precession cycles, the North Pole will again point to Polaris, and we will be in the same place in the Milky Way as we are now. Have there been close encounters with asteroids or comets? You warp speed to the point. We think so, but we have no records after the year 33,000. It is very likely that a comet wiped out life on Earth at that time. You didn't see that coming, or should I say they didn't see it coming. All kidding aside, another high probability calculated by today's scientists is the catastrophic impact of a comet, or asteroid, on Earth. Still, some say we can avoid the deadly kiss from space with advancing technology. What we cannot avoid, however, is the eruption of supervolcanoes that block sunlight with ash and other metals for an estimated 10 to 15 years, causing another major species extinction. Geologists believe that such catastrophes occur every 50,000 years. I want to know what you look like. You have finally dared to ask the burning question. Will Homo sapiens survive in the distant future? Or will there be another species dancing with aliens and holograms? Oops, you lost the line. The signal is down. Sorry, it's probably the power supply. Speaking of power supplies, scientists are pretty sure that Niagara Falls will dry up and cease to exist in 52,022. With the Ice Age underway, that's probably not such a big deal. They have bigger problems. To get back to our new old human species, it has to be a species that can survive difficult weather. Maybe we will grow some fur. Goodbye depilatory industry. I hope women are grateful for it. Ask yourself this: do you know how long Homo sapiens has been around? Well, for just under 100,000 years. And do you know how long the longest human civilization has lasted? Sit down, because the longest human civilization has only been around for 3,000 years. You are lucky to receive this call from the future. It is a sign that we have some kind of connection despite all the genetic engineering that is already taking place. Also, while our adaptation to the environment is critical to our survival, it is not the only adaptation that matters. If a civilization is to live long and thrive, it must be able to harness the maximum amount of energy possible. Back in 1964, astronomer Nikolai Kardashev defined 3 types of advanced civilizations in the universe, distinguished by the amount of energy they can use. Let us take a look and find our place among these 3 types. First, there is the civilization that controls the energy of the planets, which means that it can harvest all the energy of the world. Then there is the civilization that can work with all the energy of its solar system. And finally, we have a civilization that is able to control the energy of the entire galaxy. Where does that leave our civilization? You guessed right, nowhere, just below 0. The good news is that scientists predict we will reach the first type within a century. That is, if we get climate change under control first. But I'm sure we will. Share our video and comment with your friends. Do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We have more treats on the way.